So today I went to the cinema and I saw two films. The Ottoman Show, which was kind of like about a grumpy man who reminded me of Victor Meldrew, only he was a little bit younger and he was suicidal. So very clean, but he lost his wife and he was suicidal and he kept trying to commit suicide. But every time he kind of kept getting interrupted by people. I found it very funny, and it did remind me of my dad a little bit, not with the suicide or the cleanness or whatever. But my dad can be very grumpy. If someone leaves a bike in the wrong place, he'd be like, "This is health and safety hazard. It has to be in its proper place." And he gets very mad about losing keys, and he doesn't like mess. He is messy, but he's always yelling at my mom for her being messy. And I don't know. He's not very giving. He's not very sharing. If someone wanted to borrow something of his, I can't imagine him saying yes. Or if he does say yes, he'll be very reluctant. But I don't know. There were similarities, but yeah, it was a good film. I liked it. And then I saw the Whitney Houston film, which was so much better than the last Whitney Houston film that I watched. I said many years ago that I think she represents my next life's mum. I think if I was to choose someone to be my next life's mum, I would choose Whitney Houston. And then a few weeks or months later, that a film came out about her, and I think actually it was like a few weeks out. So I don't know if they knew or heard what I'd said or anything, but it almost felt like they had heard what I said, and that they deliberately made this film that kind of makes her look bad and makes her look like they focused on all the wrong things. They focused on her being a bad mom, and they kind of the rioting and fighting between her and Bobby, and they made it look like her life was really falling apart. And you could see more reason as to why her life would be so bad in that film. Um, because they just focused on all the negative. But that's not how I remember Whitney Houston, and that's not how I want people to remember her. I still wanted her to be my mum in my next life, even if she is going to be a bad mum to my future self, and even if she is, very hardworking, so much so that she puts that first beyond anything else. And but yeah, this one was so much better because I felt like it was far more respectful towards her, and even though her life kind of was falling apart, she didn't want that to be affected in her work. And I think it did sometimes. There was a few shows where she sounded really bad, like she'd done too many drugs or too much alcohol, and she wasn't in the right mood. That was the truth. But this show, they kind of underplayed it a little bit, but that's how I remember her. I remember that there's one or two shows that she did really badly, but I don't remember her being a drug addict. I don't remember her being someone who had a drug problem. Okay, she probably did have a drug problem, but I just remember the amazing songs and the amazing voice. She really has the best voice ever. The best voice ever until I started hearing Ariana get a lot better, and then I was a bit like, is she first best or second best? I don't know. Definitely the best in her generation. Ariana, though, is it's a tough one to say who is better, because they both were amazing, and she, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, I much prefer this film. I think it was so much. It showed the nicer side, and it showed it focused more on the early stages before she had a child. I don't know what happened when she had the child, but yeah, I feel like problems did start coming around then, and it made other people around her look bad, whereas it made her look good. Like, it made Bobby look like they weren't really that strong, and it was this weird relationship. I had no idea she was in a sort of relationship with a woman. I can't remember. I can't remember that being mentioned in the first film. So it's interesting how you can watch a film about the same person and yet see two completely different sides to it. One of them, she was hardworking and successful, and then it all just fell apart bit by bit, and it just got worse and worse, until you could see that you couldn't see her surviving much longer. And then you've got the other side, which was her being regaining respect and regaining most of her ability to perform, but just doing the odd bad show. And I don't think she died because she was a drug addict. I think she died because she had won too much, and she was trying to cover it up and pretend that everything was fine. But I think on the surface, it might have seemed fine to many people, not to everyone. But you know, I didn't know she had a drug problem, and I didn't know about the gay thing, and I didn't know she ever got booed on stage because people thought she was gay. I don't know. That's completely not acceptable now. I mean, gay people are accepted now, and they weren't before. So, to boo someone because they're gay, that would never happen right now. So I feel like it's relevant with times and how they are now. But yeah, I don't know. I much prefer this film, and I'm happy that they've done this film. She is an amazing singer. I hate films though that go on past an hour and a half is how long films should be. I feel like there's so few films that could go on past. And she was amazing, but in a way, I felt like I was watching a concert. I loved listening to the songs, and it was good. But yeah, every now and then it felt like there was quite a lot of the singing, which is good. Her voice is amazing, so I could listen to it. But there was a few films. I can't remember what the last film I watched. But yeah, there are some films where you really just want to walk out because you've had enough. The Avatar, actually, that's what I watched. I watched the Avatar like a week ago, and oh my gosh, it just went on and on and on and on, and just like you kind of just want to say to the producers, what are you doing this for? You're spending every scene you do, you're spending more and more money on actors, or I don't know if they're charging per scene or per day, but every scene you do, you have to have people involved in it, and it costs money. So why are you making a film 2.5 hours long when in reality most people only have the patience to watch a film that's 1.5 hours long? The only films that I like being longer than 1.5 hours are Avenger films. I love action or End of World or something like that. Those films are okay, but yeah. Can someone please tell people who are making films to keep their film in the 1 hour, 1.5 hours? We want to watch the film, we want to see a beginning, a middle, and end, enjoy it. But when you start feeling like they're just stretching it out and making it way longer than you need to be, you just want to kind of walk out and don't even care about the ending. There is, was it another one I'm sure there was another film. There was another film where I started hating the characters so much so that if them dying was the only way to get out of the cinema, I would like, okay, yeah, just kill her already. I want to get out of the cinema. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the Avatar, actually. There was one where I actually just kind of lost complete interest halfway through, and I was just like, okay, I don't care what happens to this person, or maybe it was a family. I don't care what happens to the family. Just kill them, end the film. Great, we can move on. I can get out of here. But yeah, and yesterday, my sisters had a meeting. They're discussing whether or not to go to court to take my sister's new baby off her. I think it actually went really positively. Sophie can be quite negative, and so we thought the decision was going to be given in this session. And technically, they're saying that she needs to have an assessment first, so they're going to put her through a parenting test over the next month, and then they're going to test both my mum at her house and me and my house. So they're going to come and visit us. If they think she's not appropriate, they're going to test to see if she should be if the baby should be basically fostered by my mum or me, with my sister either acting as a sort of co-parent or acting as a visitor. Whether it be a co-parent or a visitor, or whether I'm allowed to give any time, let Sophie be alone with the child. We'll have to wait on what they decide. Whatever they decide, I'm happy to go for it. There's no evidence that Sophie's really a bad mom, other than walking away from the first child. But I think she did that because she was more fed up with the father, but she was also fed up with the crying and the loud sounds. And she hated being judged and got kind of moody when it comes to that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to shoot her or anything, but or say negative things, because we'll wait to see what they say. There's a possibility that Sophie and her baby will get fostered, which is a good idea. But these things are expensive, and they might not want to put their funding into this. But they will if they think it's necessary. Anyway, I bought something for the little baby, which is Don't Wake the Dragon. The baby is a bit like, so you have to don't wake the dragon because it's going to stop. My mum likes to, so my sister likes to believe that she's like, she knows best, and she's going to be very like, so I got her Mum's knows best, and she also likes giraffes. I think she gave Blake a toy giraffe, one of the only toys that Blake got. I also bought a Christmas jumper for next year, and it'll be 12. It's 9 to 12 months, so it'll be perfect for next year. You have to buy Christmas stuff at the end of Christmas and then put it in the attic for next year. Otherwise, you'll end up paying a lot more. And then one that's got like little space stuff all over it, which is cool. And then I bought a bag for myself, and it's got Anna on it, and it's gold, and it's got a nice pattern all the way around here of Anna, Frozen characters. And my mum bought me a tiger thing, which is pink, and you can't really see the cut, but it's lovely in gold, and I'm really happy about that. But yes, just thought I'd show you.